Hello, guys. Welcome. I'm the blunted one. I'm also known as Alan. You can follow me at Twitter. Um, I just want to go ahead and introduce myself in this podcast. This is the Cafeteria Room, where we could talk about everything. It all goes down here. There's no judgment in this room at all whatsoever. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching. And if you do like, please hit the follow, subscribe one if there is one. If not, DM me and follow me at Twitter. I would really appreciate that. So today, I want to go ahead and introduce my co-host, Tony Vega. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
Oh, good man. Thank you for having me.
No, man, I appreciate you for coming on. I know we're two busy dads who have a full time job. We just getting together today to talk about just kind of about life and see if we can make a connection through sports. There's one thing I want to go ahead and do is introduce myself again, like my background and who I am as a person, what I do, I guess for a living. Again, I'm 32 years old. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I have a twin sister, older brother. I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican Salvadorian. Funny mix. My dad's from Salvador. My mom's from California, actually, but our ancestors come from Mexico. So that's just a kind of quick background from about me. Again, I'm married, son. Right now, I live in Texas. Um, I'm 32. I'm a Libra. If anyone wants to know about my zodiac sign, man, Tony, introduce yourself to everybody and kind of let them know a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, man. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I've born and raised from Guayama, Puerto Rico. Um, and actually, my mom is from the Bronx, so that's kind of like why my English is pretty cool. But honestly, I live currently in Virginia. I'm also a dad. I'm a dad of two, technically three. I got a dog. Uh, you know, been married. Um, I'm blessed to have a job. I'm blessed to, you know, be here in the states. And other than that, I am just a fanatic of basketball. I love cars. I love F1. It's a little mix of everything, if I'm being honest, except for some reason NFL and baseball. Don't kill me, but it's just facts. Those sports are not followed in Puerto Rico, and it's 26 years of not following uh, those sports and just following closely basketball and some baseball. But in anyways, thank you for having me. I also just wanted to cheap plug. I also have a podcast, ABS podcast, Absolute BS podcast. Again, I'm I'm just a humble, generous guy who just wants to, just wants to have fun, express, vent, and just give my takes. So
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
No, man. Yeah, guys, follow Tony. We'll have the links in the description. Follow us at Twitter. Follow that ABS podcast. I was actually on there. It was fun. We had a great time. We had some NBA takes talking about the Lakers and kind of what's going on right now in the NBA world. But aside from that, I kind of want to step aside from Lakers because it's not going to just be about Lakers. It's going to be about just kind of all sports in general. I kind of want to bring a community of sports together, and that's kind of what this recording this video is for today is kind of an introduction of what the cafeteria is going to be about. And one day I was kind of just maybe it's been more than a couple of days, but it's been about a month or two that I've been kind of just sitting there laying in bed and thinking about what is missing in podcasts out there. And this is not to knock any of those podcasts that are out there, especially sports, because I know the grind is there. It's real. It's hard. You got to work every day. You got to be putting out videos. The algorithm. I mean, we can go on and on and on about that. But uh, back on track here. Yeah, I was sitting there and I was thinking what's missing, and I just feel like there's basketball podcasts, there's football podcasts, all singular podcasts focus on one thing or one sport, and kind of just taking the takes on who's hot and what teams are good and who's bad and who sucks, who's top five and who's top 10. I want to go away from that, and I want everybody to come here and come chat, come talk with us, and about just maybe about themselves, what's going on, if there's a sport that they used to play back in the day, stories. This is something that I've been thinking about for a long time now, and there's a quote that has resigned with me for quite some time now, and it's up here in our border here. It's if we're gonna make a world a better place, a story is the right place to start. Kobe, no, Kobe said that. Rest in peace. And that really, 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 really like took. I really, really took that to heart. And I don't know if there's anybody out there that has a take on what this really actually means and what it entails. Um, I can go ahead and start. I can go ahead and start it off. And what I think this is there's a connection in the world that's missing that I think Kobe wanted to set out and put. Whether it was like, because look at it, if you look at his track record and what was happening next, he was doing Oscars. Like, what NBA star has an Oscar? He was getting in. He got also getting into the WNBA. Like, there's just there's a connection there to be made with. You don't have to be just into one sport and connect them all together with somebody else. Like, I'm learning still about baseball right now, and I have a bunch of friends that I'm learning from, and I'm a rookie. Like, when it comes to that, I mean, I have watched the Dodgers and stuff like that. Football as well. I used to watch it back in the day. I'm getting back into it now. But yeah, man, I just want to like get together. Like, when you think of a cafeteria room, well, like, what happens in the cafeteria room? Like, you sit down and all the gossip, drama, and everything goes down there. Like, it's the place to talk. It's the place to be. It's where you want to be at. So I want to go ahead and invite everybody again. DM me, hit me up, comment down below, tell me your stories. I want to hear it. Let's get it out there. Like, Tony, what do you think, man? Like, well, what do you think this quote means to you? Like, what is there any sports stories that like resigns with you still today? Like, what do you think, man?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to sports stories, it's funny, and I can go on a rant, but I'm just gonna keep it a little compact because sometimes, like, just taking this quote for example, and the part that really hits is a story is the right place to start. I think that's the big take here, because here's the thing, like, and I didn't say my age, but my age is actually 36. So I do look the old part. So it's
No, you
yes,
don't look. You
yes,
don't,
just bear
calm
with
down.
me.
You don't look that old, brother.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
well, having two kids, it really does a number on you. But anyways,
It does a
uh,
number. Did you see
yeah,
that?
yeah. Anyways, there's there's um there's something to that, the story part, because um for instance, I remember back home in Puerto Rico, I it's a different time. We live in this internet craze, and in this filled technology, packed with all the gadgetry, all the connections that we can make. We can look up Google, where when we grew up we couldn't know what, it didn't exist. We only had cassette tapes, or Jesus, cassette tapes, or CDs, or things of the nature. But in my case, like, when I was introduced to sports, I was actually introduced to it under, how can I say this? Not forcefully, but my parents wanted me to be like, "Hey, you're gonna go do sports." I'm like, "What do you mean sports?" For instance, basketball. I like dribbling the ball. I did not know jack crap about shooting the ball, about the game, about anything. I knew at that time the Lakers. I knew, but I wasn't an avid fan. I wasn't like, oh, let me, like, it's not something. But what's interesting is the reason why. And that's where sometimes the story is so important, because normally in life, people, like, as a parent, I want to instill to my children, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to do A, B, and C. But they would ask you back, like, why would I ever do that? And then that's when the story comes. And story is such an important facet, because if it weren't for basketball, if it weren't for baseball, if it weren't for, and this is for my experience, but if it weren't for, what's it called, actually martial arts, like, that instilled a discipline, a community. It allowed me to talk to people without even speaking. Like, your actions would define certain things that would kind of like it's just kind of like an icebreaker in a certain sense because I was a very closed off kid, and that allowed me to make friends, that allowed me to know people, to, I was not a good shooter, I was not a good passer, I was not a good defender, I was more of a bench warmer. but that group, that group, that team spirit, that teamwork, that unity, that was so important, and that's in every single sport, no matter if it's single sports, if it's kind of like swimming, there's always a teamwork to it. There's this importance to it, and my parents, they grew up with that. Like my father actually grew up being a volleyball player, playing volleyball in what's it called, in college, and he also did softball for a time. Like it's just, and he knew that, and he wanted to explain it, but sometimes explaining some things, you can't explain it until you experience it. And
Yeah.
that's why a story, sometimes you don't need to even verbalize it, it happens without you even noticing.
Yep.
You're technically creating the story, so that's my point of view. I can go on, but
Yeah.
that's
No, man, and that's quite funny. Is like I'm quite the opposite of you. Like I'm not gonna say I was popular in school at all or anything like that, but I was
I was a
definitely.
nerd. I was a
I
nerd.
was. I mean, I was. I didn't have the best grades in high. I didn't have the best grades in high school. I will tell you this though. I definitely every single test that I have take, I passed, even though that I didn't study or anything like that. So I mean, I
Yeah,
was pretty smart, I guess you could say.
I
But
mean, yeah.
my I didn't like I wasn't a nerd or anything. I got along with a lot of people. I partied and like had fun during. I did the high school stuff. I had fun. I lived in
Yeah.
LA, man. Like it was things were easy to get access to as at that age. I mean, it was still the '90s, so like the internet wasn't like it wasn't a big thing around that time. Like we were out rustling in the mud, you know what I'm saying, playing tag or go get into some shit, use my French. But yeah, man, like complete opposite of you. And it's interesting how me and you actually met, and where does that connection come from? Which comes from sports, right? Because
Sports. I mean, yeah.
you love it, you like NBA, you love NBA, I love NBA.
Yeah.
Because you would look at me or you, and I'm not like judging a book by its cover, and I'm not trying to do that at all. Don't lynch me, guys. But if you look at me and and Tony, you would probably not think that we would hang out with each other. If I'm not mistaken, like we're two different people. But there's a connection to sports, and I've gotten to know Tony in this last couple of months, and he's a awesome guy. He's the nicest person that I've met. He knows his shit about basketball. He knows his shit about F1. He's a good dude, and the connection right there that we've made together is through sports, and that's the whole reason of the cafeteria room. Is there's a connection to be made to everybody through sports somehow, one way or another. There's a story to be told. There's someone to be listened to, man. And there's one, there's a story that I want to tell you about my cousin, and like he's an inspiration to me, like huge inspiration to me, and I'll tell you why. He is younger than me. He's a big guy, man. He's 6 foot like 4, I think, like 280 pounds. He played college. He played college football. Um, and he was decent. Like he would like I don't think he like no offense, if cousin John, if you're watching, man, I love you to get. You were a great football player, but come on, like let's be realistic. I don't think he was going to go to the NFL or anything like that. And what's crazy is that he and I hope he doesn't mind that I do mention the story. What ended up happening is throughout time, the medicals getting unchecked and stuff like that, he actually ended up suffering, getting like what's the word I'm looking for? Like an epilepsy, but it's there. It's stress related, so he does get seizures and stuff like that. And so he's had a rough time and kind of finding himself through that time and knowing who he is and kind of coming in like an agreement with himself that he has that like kind of lingering on with his health, and it took him away from a sport that he loves because he loved football. Like my cousin loved football. He loved basketball. He loved football. Like my cousin played all the sports growing up, man. and I was kind of jealous. Not, I don't want to say jealous of him, but he had someone pushing him to do it. He had his dad there pushing him, like, "Hey, do sports, do sports, do sports." And I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody like pushing me to do something. And again, the way that he inspires me is because after the whole like epilepsy, he had like again like a relapse, I guess you could say, where he like lost like I guess total function for like like 2 3 minutes, like he didn't know where he's at, like he tuned out. And since then he's been seizure free for about 2 years, and he has holds down a good job. He has a child. He's happily married. He plays sports on his, like, he still tries to play sports on his downtime, and hopefully one day we can actually bring him on here, man. And that willingness to overcome and come in agreements of something that you don't know uh, when that will happen next, or if it's going to take my life. Man, that's so powerful that he was able to overcome that and able to contain the seizures and contain the stress. And man, he's a strong person. I really really appreciate him. I love him to death. John, if you're watching, man, I love you. You are an inspiration to, especially for this podcast. Stories like that by don't come by too much often, and I hope we can hear more. Maybe, hopefully, not exactly the same way, but definitely an inspiration, man. Definitely an inspiration. Is there anybody else in your family or anything like that that inspires you, Tony?
hon- Honestly, not to that degree. If I'm being honest, that is powerful. But the there is a person that does inspire me. What's interesting is I come from a family that it's a big family, and for instance, my father kind of laid out. Uh, he kind of laid out the breakings, like the how can I say this, kind of like the path
Okay.
to because he's actually the first from his side that basically got a college degree. He went against my and I hope that has is okay for me saying this, but he was the one that actually decided to go against my grandfather's will, in terms of, my grandfather back home, he had a store, he had a kind of like a hardware store. He wanted my father to be like, this is your store, you man it, you do your stuff, but my father went against it. He paved his own path. And when I was growing up, there was a lot of friction in terms of what he wanted and what I wanted. And there's things that come to that sometimes I don't, and I think everybody out there can understand this. There is always friction with your parents, and it's because something in communication, something like gets lost. Like, you understand that that he means well, but when you, for instance, in my opinion, like I wasn't sure I want to be a mechanical engineer. I wasn't 100% sure about that. And he wanted me to be that. And I followed suit with it. But if I'm being honest, every person there hits a crossroads. Each person, like, there, and everything goes back to the story. Everybody experiences a story differently. Everybody has a story to tell, and that story can create what's called wisdom, what's called experience, what's called things. And I had to live through stuff where
Mm-hmm.
I did
Yep.
not know that. Like, for instance, he would tell me, do get good grades, um stupid stuff, but it's just like it's kind of like, don't go partying. Don't You see this, I don't party, I'm not that kind of guy, but I had my moments. I had my situations where I used to actually um do that. But uh it I hit a barrier at at college, and it's basically it rocked my core, because you know what failing a class 3 times, and let me stress this, like, everybody experiences hardship in a different way.
Yep.
no
Exactly.
one no one really experiences
Exactly.
hardship
I'm
the
glad you brought
same
that up too.
exact way. Like, yeah, it's because it's like, and this is, and I can harp back to my cousin. Like cousin experienced a hardship which was pretty traumatic, and I don't have authority to say his story, but I know for a fact that his was medical, and he had to experience certain a diagnosis which in his shoes I would probably be unconscious or have no will to go forwards, but he didn't and survived and willed himself, and now he has a fulfilled life. It's just everybody experiences some sort of hardship, which is just, and sometimes it happens depending on the situation. Sometimes it happens in college. Sometimes it happens when you're married. Sometimes it happens when you're like, I I I can say this, and just going back to what rocked me the first time is those things define you. Those things, it puts light into the story. Like sometimes a story can be said, but are you really listening? Are you really capturing what your parents are saying, what your friends are saying? Like I had friends that said, hey, take a year off, do this, do that. And I was tempted to. I was really tempted to do that. But my I followed my gut and I said, and I didn't have any quotes. I was
Well,
and just
I got one for you on that one. You want to hear
I
it?
know, go for it, go for it. Yeah.
I love quotes. I'm gonna get. I love quotes.
Yeah,
Ready? Are you ready?
sure.
Legends aren't defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failures.
Who said that?
You're gonna have to go look that up. Who said
Okay,
that?
okay, okay,
I
okay.
know who said it. Anyone who else knows who said that? Drop in the
Please leave it in the
comment. Yeah,
comments.
leave it in the comments. Again,
Oh
I'll say
my.
it again. Legends aren't defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failures. So that, I
Okay.
mean, I guess that I would that hits kind of the it hits the fucking with the nail on whatever. I don't even know what to say on that one, but
Yeah, no,
dude, it hits it on the mark. There you go. It hits it on the mark.
it does.
Maybe
It
you could
does.
take out legends because not everybody is a legend.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Maybe
whoa.
just well, okay.
Eh,
Hold
wait,
on.
wait, wait.
Let
Hold
me
on.
rephrase that. They're legends in their own way, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
in this particular quote, it's talking about a certain legend, as far as in the sports world.
I don't want to Google it yet. I'll Google it after it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I can tell you later. I'll send it to you in a
yeah,
personal message. I'm surprised you don't know that quote actually, and
dude.
that surprises me. And dude, man, dude, hardships. Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a little backstory about myself, like about me personally. Uh, and I don't talk about this a lot. Uh, for those that do who know me will know the story. And I'm gonna guys give you just a little breakdown of a hardship that I went through in my life. I was very young, but I experienced it. I guess throughout life, and then came to agreement as I got older. So when I was younger, my mom passed away. Right, drop, boom. Yes, my mom passed away when I was young. I was about 6.5, maybe 7 years old. The way that she passed away was kind of like suddenly. Like the reason why it was tragic is because it wasn't expected to happen in a sense. So yeah, my mom passed away giving birth to my baby sister. My baby sister's 25, 26 now, 25, 26, I think 25. I'm sorry that I don't know my baby sister's age, but she's 25. If you're watching, sister, I love you. Uh, yeah, I love you to death. Like I don't think anyone else, any of us as family, tell you more than this. If you ever do watch this, I, I love you to death. I care about you. I'm like DM me sometimes, hit me up. I love you to death. So yeah, so my mom passed away when I was younger. It was during birth, and there was like a negligence in the hospital. How there was a negligence, I don't know like the full story, but from what I've gathered throughout the years, the nurses and the doctors weren't there. They were hard to find. They couldn't like get back to her in time to do surgery. She lost a lot of fluids and blood. Like it was just like complete, like kind of like complete chaos as far as like hospitals goes. And yeah, it was kind of it was shock. It was a shock, man. It was
That's
it's
rough.
terrible.
That's
It's rough.
rough.
I didn't, and at the time, and like I'm gonna tell you guys this, at the time I didn't know what was going on. I was only 6.5 years old. Imagine if you got kids out there. Imagine like, and my mom was just newly married. Like just she had just been newly married for about a year. So imagine him trying to explain to a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, two 6 years, because I have a twin sister. So two 6 years old and a 10-year-old, which is my older brother, uh, that their mom passed away. Like how like I couldn't imagine or fathom what position he was in at that time, and how to even like explain to children that are not even his that their mom just passed away. Like, dude, me thinking about it now as a father, I wouldn't even know how I could do that, present that to my son. So like, or get him to even explain it that your mom's not coming back. Like she's not coming back.
Yeah,
And
and the questions that come from that, like,
yeah,
how
and the
can you?
questions that come from that, because I'm sure I'm sure day by day I was like, hey, when's my mom coming? I'm pretty sure. And like again, so when that happened, when they broke it down to us and they told us, I I laughed. I'll tell you right now, I laughed. I, that was my I don't know why I was 6 years old. I don't know why. Again, I was 6 years old. I don't know why I laughed. I don't know what was going through my head at that time. But now, as I'm older and like realized it many years ago that my mom wasn't coming back, like it was that it just that hardship didn't happen when I was 6. That hardship happened when I was like 18 or 16. Or when did I truly understand it? Probably when I was like 18, to be honest with you. Because at 15, 16 year old, let's face it, I was probably not thinking about that. So as I got a little bit older, got a little bit more mature. At 18, I wasn't like super mature either, but I understood like my mom does not like that's it. Like and that hardship was when I got older, not an instant thing. So then, yeah, that's just a little backstory about like just a little tragic story about like me. I'm not trying to get any sympathy cards out there. Like it's been 25 plus years that she's been passed away. God bless her soul. She's in paradise right now, living it up with Kobe and Bill Russell. Hopefully, having a glass of wine and talking about basketball, and hopefully watching us from, if you guys believe in that stuff. So yeah, man. Let's see. I wanted to ask you a question on something. Um,
Sure.
do do you think, and like in your honest opinion, do you think we can inspire and maybe motivate the next generation through this podcast? Do you think we can make that movement? I know it's kind of a out there question. I understand. Like, of course, you're gonna like. I know you might say, "Yeah, man," but like, I honestly think there's a message out there that we can provide, or that I can provide, or that we can get out there, and hoping that people can tune in and be like, what, I want to talk. I want to talk to those guys. They seem cool. Let's hit them up. Like, do you think we can really we can get there? I know, like, again, I know it's a weird question, but do you think like there's a message that like my idea kind of wild, or do you think
Oh,
this is a good idea? Like, I want your thoughts. Like, I
honest,
want your thoughts.
honest, yeah, yeah, honest opinion, and this is the unfiltered uh opinion. When you first told me about this idea, it kind of like dawned on me, like, we live in this world where it's all podcasts, there's all ideas, vlogs, you name it. There's podcasts about religion, there's podcasts about therapy, about foods, about anything. I don't even want to. There's millions of them,
Yeah,
but there, and I would be realist. I would be. I'm not gonna be like, yes, we're gonna do it. But the fact is, one, We need one person to get change from this, and I call
Yeah.
that a win.
Yep.
It's not about the masses. We're not. So I'm not doing this for the views.
Nope. Neither
I'm
am I.
not doing this for the follows.
Nope.
I
Neither am
was
I.
happy before Twitter. I am happy
Same here.
now,
Same here.
and I will continue to be happy. And I just want health. I want peace, and I want to share what my experiences, my takes, my opinions, and I want to do this for, and I want to help you too to do this, because, and honestly, there is something here. It's not, how can I say this? It's not unrealistic to say we can inspire people. Inspiration comes from action. I can take an action and be like, I'll close off my Twitter, I'll close out my Instagram, I'll close out my Facebook, I'll close out all this and be in my office with my family, and I'm not going to inspire anybody. You can make choices in life, and we're choosing to put our message, put our stories out there, put our, and not us only. It's you also. If you want to come here, say something, you can
No.
say it. If you want to
Yeah.
say it in private,
Yeah.
if
Private.
if you want to DM us, if you want to email us, if you want to just talk to us, because the fact is we live in a cruel world. This is not an easy world to live
Unfortunately.
in. Like, the one aspect is we cannot control where we're born, where we are born. We are sometimes born with what's it called, with advantages. Sometimes we're not. So, and for those who have struggles, who have adversity, that are higher, that need to vent, that need inspiration, we're here for you, man. Like, we are.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
this is where this podcast has its has immeasurable value, in my opinion, because this is a non-judgmental place, from my
Yeah.
opinion. Like,
Yeah. No.
this,
No judgment.
you can
But
say whatever you
I'm
want.
the last person to be judging anyone, because let me tell you, I'm not perfect. I could tell you right now and go on. This is
Nobody.
recorded. Like, I am not. I'm not the
Sources
best
say.
father. Yeah, sources say I'm not the best father. I'm not the best husband at all. Like, I know I could be
Yeah.
better. I know I could be there more for my son. Like,
And
it's all a learning experience
here's
with it
here's
comes to
a
that.
here's a
So.
little here's a little tidbit of my daily life. I Right now, I have two kids. One actually has a speech development delay, which is, when you see it like that, it's not that bad. But I have to go to speech therapy every certain days. That's kind of like why I was late to this podcast.
Mhm.
And raising a kid, my only opinion was, well, not my only, but the thing that really got me was, at first, I had my son, which was a blessing. But the adversity for those dads that, and this is something that my wife and I struggled at first. We almost had 4 abortions at first, just to get our firstborn. 4 abortions that my wife had to endure, that we had to endure as a family. And I'll be honest, you don't need to take this podcast as to cling on. Like, you can take sports, you can take religion, you can take whatever you want to take, because sometimes you need help. It's fine to say you need help. There's mental health is important. Everything is important. How can you get inspired if you're not in the right mental space? Like, how can you get right? How can you get motivated if your problems are constant and are within you? Like, they're constantly attacking you. And here's the thing: life is kind of like a little croquet of it's kind of like a balance. You're literally, like, I took promotions, and I worked my butt off to buy this house, which, in all intents and purposes, I'm grateful, I'm blessed. I bought a house, but it cost me a lot of opportunity to spend time with my kid. It cost me a
Yep.
great opportunity to see my kid grow, see certain stages where I'm like, I don't remember that. And now, here, right now, I do I do regret those things
Oh
to a
yeah,
certain
man.
extent. And the thing is, we make decisions in life that, and honestly, we make the best of the decisions we can without knowing the consequences until later. And there's no, like, for those gamers, there's no respawn, there's no restart, there's no clear the
Nope.
game, start over again. This is life.
It's
This is the
life.
reality.
Yep.
It's not easy.
And I think
And
the next generation forget that. Honestly, man, I like honestly want to sit there and say that like the next generation do not. I don't want to say all of them. Like
yeah,
there is some that do understand, but um, man, I was gonna say something right now. Yeah, so like you how you were talking about you're buying your house and stuff. Man, I still live in an apartment. Like I'll throw that out to everybody. I still live in an apartment, and I live in Austin, and it's not
it's not cheap.
cheap to leave to
It's
live
not
here
cheap.
in Austin.
Yeah.
Like it's expensive, and I'm great. Like I literally started from the like take a Drake quote right here. I literally started from the bottom, man, and I haven't made it to the top at all. Like I'm nowhere near. I'm climbing that ladder, bro. Like every day, and I get put back down. I climb up a little bit. I climb back down. I like I've had adversity my whole entire life, man, and I'm not. I don't want to blame the world. Like it's my fault that um, it's my excuse me. Uh, it oops.
You're
Need
fine.
some water. Need some water.
Some water, yeah. For those who don't understand, if technology ever advances, we should get like the humidity index at some point, or how stuffy a place can get, because honestly, we're almost in the end of summer, and it's stuffy as
Yeah.
heck.
No. Yeah. And I got a sweater on, but it's cold. It's cold in my apartment.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, as I was saying, like I've faced adversity my whole entire life, and it's my fault, for most of the part because of the decisions that I've made, and I've come to like 75% of it. I've come to an agreement that it's my fault. Like I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh yeah, man, I'm a changed person. Like I know, no, 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 no,
Um,
no, 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 no. I am not going to sit here and say that I'm not. I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm still going to make mistakes. I still need to learn. Uh, like I still need to learn how to be a better dad. I still need to learn how to be a better husband to my wife. Like there's a lot of things that I need to learn to become a better person.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, adversity my whole entire life, dude. Like I've started from the bottom, dude. I haven't made it.
So
I've I've come from a kitchen background, bro. That's all I know is kitchen. I've worked about 15, I maybe 16 years. I started working like young, 15 years old, I think, or maybe even 14. My first job, I worked at Sonic in San Antonio. I worked there for the high school, like with like my work permit and stuff like that. And I did that during the summers. I did that for 2 years, and and for those 2 years, I was playing sports. I was playing basketball. I was playing football, and I wasn't like the best player on
yeah.
neither of the teams, but I was a good player. Like I was decent. I was decent. I'm not tall at all. I'm 5'9". Probably at the time I was probably like 5'8". But I had a lot of heart and a lot of grit, man. And I I made a decision in that time, like I want to be Mr. Show and give into other stuff, and I chose to do other things instead of being committed to sports, which I probably should have because I probably would have been better off in life. Like even
Yeah.
like continue to do school. Like I didn't even like I didn't graduate. I can tell you right now, I didn't graduate. I'm like I luckily have my GED, but that's like that's it. Like I haven't gone past fourth that, and um, so yeah, man, I'm still facing adversity still to this day, and man, I want to get over that hump, man, and I think that really like puts like a fire in me, due to like maybe I'm not here for the views either. I'm not here for the clicks or for the subscribes or anything like that. I'm actually here maybe my story or my voice can actually be heard and get out there and probably inspire somebody or motivate them to do something to change themselves for the like in their lives or whatever's going on that day, put a smile on their face, or like be like someone got an idea and they're like, oh, maybe I want to do what he's doing, or I want to join that podcast and I want to talk to this dude. Like I just want to inspire people, man, and I hope people feel the same way and we can kumbaya around a fucking campfire and make some
Yeah.
s'mores. And I hope we can do that and get together. Like seriously, man, I I think this right now is the time for this platform. It's big.
Yeah.
Let's have fun and hopefully we can inspire people on the way and make us and everybody else better people and just listen to stories and talk about sports and whatever everybody wants to talk about. So again,
Yeah.
guys, follow me at the Blunted One on Twitter. Follow Anthony at Anthony underscore Vega 86. Hit that subscribe button, like us, follow us. We'll have our just links in the description. Uh, Tony, is there anything you want to say before we get going today? And I believe we're going to go hit on your podcast. I believe, is that correct? I believe, or
I
am I
believe.
inviting myself in again? Because I had
No,
so much
no.
fun
I
last
mean,
time. I
it.
want to hop on again.
So here for the people that understand the background of this, I message the blunted one and be like, hey, are you up for another podcast? And he's like, yes, sir. And I'm like, okay, cool. But when? And I'm like, well, let's do yours. Let's do us. Like, here's the thing, man. And just final thoughts in general. I haven't met this guy on my wait. I haven't met him, but I do appreciate him. I do appreciate his sincerity, his commitment, and here's the thing, guys. The truth sometimes transcends anything and everything. And that when I say sometimes, it's because you can judge a book by its cover, but when you hear the truth, when you hear the words that are spoken correctly and that are spoken and not correctly, but just laid out facts, just laid out like you can make mistakes, you can stumble. Like
Yeah,
i
man,
i stumble at times.
it's
Like
okay not to be okay. Like it really is.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
okay to not be okay, people. If
And
you need to like I okay, I don't like it's gonna sound weird, but like I it's hard for me to like shed tears and stuff like that. But lately I've been shedding tears, man. I've been coming and
hey,
feeling
hey,
feelings with myself. I've been coming in tune with my emotions lately. And
yeah,
man, dude, there's I've missed so much in the past, let's say 10 years, because I was so in tune on doing other things that I missed a lot, man. I missed a lot. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to like be in tune with everybody else, with what's going on in the world and stuff like that. And dude,
and
it's gonna be fun, man. It really is.
it's gonna be fun. Please,
And I appreciate, and
please,
I also,
yeah.
hey man, I appreciate the comments too, man. I didn't mean to cut
Yeah.
you off either.
No, 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 no. You never, man. Like we like this is when something clicks, it clicks. And I just hope for those who are listening, just understand that we come from a place of, of honesty, sincerity, and sometimes like I didn't mention this before or way before, and I know you don't know this about me, but just to end on this. Do you think that's my real name?
You tell me. Are you asking me?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm asking you.
Do I think that's your real name? Yeah, I think that's your real name. I don't.
So
Yeah.
so so here's
So.
the thing. That's my first name. That is true, my true first name. That last name is actually it's I did it in honor to my grandmother, who actually, one of the
Oh
most
man, dude.
it's
Yeah.
one of the
Go ahead.
most it's just grandparents and parents alike. Sometimes they give you such tools that you would never know until you find yourself at the worst possible situation. And honestly, I lost this I had two grandmothers. They both were amazing, but this one, honestly, she died too soon. And I just wanted to honor her, honestly. And
Yeah.
you carry those things like
Oh yeah.
Grandparents, like I was raised by my grandparents, and they
Yeah.
all of
Same
them
here.
all of them attributed to who I am right now. Not only my parents, but everybody. So sometimes when you see your parents, when you see your grandparents, when you see your uncles, when you see your cousins, when they're trying to tell you, listen, really listen, make your own decisions, but listen. Because
Yeah.
sometimes when you don't listen, that's the worst regret you can have.
Yep. Listen. Yep. Listen. Listen to that.
And
Listen to that person speak, man, because tomorrow, like it sucks to say, but tomorrow's never promised, and you
yeah,
don't know when you're gonna get that advice again, man. Dude, I love it. You hit it on the money with the grandparents, dude, because it's funny that you say that too. Like honestly, it's funny that you say that, and it's crazy because honest, in a way, this is a way too that I'm honoring my grandfather. God bless his soul, and I've thought about it many times. My grandfather was a broadcaster. He
wow,
and I'm not trying to like use like he's not he wasn't like super famous or anything like that, like, but he to the community, to a certain specific community, ethnicity group, I guess you could say, yes, he was kind of well known, like they knew him. And he I believe starting off or kind of in the middle of his career, I believe he was doing sports, and he did the Dodgers in Spanish. So like
deportes.
yeah, man, like dude, it's interesting because I've always had the back end of my mind, like maybe I should get into it. Maybe I should do it. I don't know. And he's brought me on actually to one of the shows one time when I was really young. I was probably like 13, 14 years old, I think. I
Oh
didn't know.
wow.
My Spanish wasn't like, my Spanish was there, but I was young and dumb and didn't understand what was going on really. And I
Yeah,
was on air one time. So yeah, man, it's I guess you could say it's in the family, and this is probably a way that deep down inside me, I'm probably honoring his name. And I've always thought about putting, if I was ever going to be in this type of business, I guess I've always thought I would take on his last name as well. So that's interesting that you brought that up. It's definitely something that I've thought about, because I probably am going to go by his last name if my name goes out there as far as like broadcasting goes. If
yeah.
this happens to get out there, I'll probably go by his last name to
That's
continue
kind of,
his last name
yeah.
legacy type of thing. I
That's
guess if
actually,
it's if I guess you could say something like that. Yeah,
yeah. That's
definitely. Yeah, and I'm saying it here now. No one, I don't think anyone, not even my family knows. Like I haven't told anybody, but it's something that I've always thought about to me, and I think this is a perfect way to like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna roll with it, and this is what we're gonna do. So,
right.
but
Well,
yeah, man.
it's just funny how things click. It's just that's we live in a very small world, people. That's all we, yeah, like if you want to summarize this, we live in a very small world, and sometimes you don't know even the person that's right next to you. And the only way to know certain people is to hear their stories. So
Yep.
just
Hear
take that to
everybody's
heart.
story, man. I
Yeah.
challenge everybody out there, talk to one person in your family, a friend, and ask them if there's a story that sits with them, that they like, that sits with them, that resigns with them, that touches their heart to be who they are. And you want, like, I would challenge you to hear that story, and maybe it resides with you, and you can take something from it, and it can help you and brighten your guys' day. So we're about to sign off. Again, follow us, the Blunted One, Anthony Vega. Follow us at Twitter. We'll put the links in the description. Hit the subscribe button, man. I appreciate you guys, Anthony. I appreciate you so much for coming on and talking with me. I'm ready to go talk some Lakers. Let's go have some fun, man.
Let's go have some fun. Thank you, everybody. And for those who listen us in Spotify or whichever other platform, this would be sometime in the near future in YouTube. So
Yeah,
the Blunted One will have his own channel, and I think he'll
yeah. It's gonna
just
be in. I believe I'm gonna have it on Apple Podcasts. So follow us
yeah,
on Apple Podcasts, and then we'll probably maybe post this in YouTube sometime in the near future. But yeah, hit the like button, comment on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you so much, Anthony, for coming on. God bless
appreciate you, man.
everybody.
See you later. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Alan.
Peace. Peace.
Peace.